Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
What's up? Welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. We're starting a little bit late because I am down in Alabama/Mississippi for the Senior Bowl. So right now I'm at the Biloxi Shuckers. I am in the visiting press box doing the show live from MGM Park, the Shuckers Stadium. And I just want to give you guys my view. So this is what I'm looking out at right now.
Oh, that's
hell yes.
You know what that is, Tyler? You know what that is? It Mama's the Mia.
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie to you. When I was driving up, I was gonna ask Javik Blake from the Shuckers. He's the radio guy. He's been super awesome. He's been super cool. He took me through the stadium. He took me through the dugouts, into the locker rooms. So I got to see Jefferson Cuero and Jackson Churio's jerseys, like their actual game worn jerseys and stuff. Batting cages and through the back of the stadium and stuff. And I was thinking about it as I was on my way here. I'm like, I wonder if he knows any good places to go check out the coast. And then I'm pulling up around the highway. This stadium, across the street, is literally the beach of the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh,
it's that close. So I'm like, well, I guess that answers my question. But then there's the giant casino. There's the Hard Rock just over there. It's like, I said it to a couple people. I'm like, this ballpark feels like a video game ballpark. This is just a gigantic casino straight out of center field. And then there's a Hard Rock. And then on the right-hand side foul area is the Gulf of Mexico. It's crazy. The stadium is gorgeous.
That hotel looked like Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. That's exactly what I was thinking of when you showed that view. That looks like Mandalay Bay.
He told me that it is a MGM hotel casino.
That makes sense.
There you go. Yeah,
checks out.
Yep. So yeah, can confirm that. Alrighty, so we're going to jump in, and we are going to start with Badgers basketball. So the Badgers only had one game between last week and this week. They had the win against Michigan State. So Mike, I'll let you go first. What were two things that stood out to you from the Badgers win over Michigan State?
Oh man! So number one, we gotta go with a guy that's had Michigan State's number now these last two games. It's Mr. AJ Storr. I mean, this guy, the straight bucket getter, man. 28 points, 2 rebounds, went 3 of 8 from 3, and really important stat that we talk about. He was 7 of 8 from the free throw line. He scored 6 of the last 10 points to close out the game for us, or 6 of 12. I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, straight bucket getter against Michigan State now in 2 games. He scored 50 points, 17 of 28 from shooting total, which is just filthy, especially against a team like Michigan State, Tom Izzo. Even after the game, it was pretty interesting. First off, Tom Izzo has called him, one of the better players he's seen, in the Big Ten in general. And so the only recent comment I've heard from him for Wisconsin players, who's been one of the better players he's seen in a long time, was Frank Kaminsky. That was the last time, for a Wisconsin player, he said something similar to that. So, the fact he's saying that about a guy like AJ Storr, that definitely, says a lot in my view. And one more comment I wanted to call out. Greg Gard even said after the game that Michigan State did shut down a bunch of sets that were initially set up for him during the game. That was just more so, I think he said, organically, like AJ was scoring his buckets organically and getting them all by himself from what he was seeing on the breakdown. So, like I said, straight bucket getter, one hell of a performance on his end. So, and then going into the second part, I got bench scoring. I mean, this is something that we've talked about a lot this year that we did not have last year. There were games that we went scoreless. We had 22 points this last game on the bench against Michigan State. This is with Kamari McGee, who unfortunately is going to be out now until mid-February. We can talk about that another time. But I mean, Nolan Winter and Connor Essegian came in off the bench, hit back-to-back threes around the 12 to 13 minute mark in the first half. So that was incredible. I mean, when you can get that right away coming off the bench, back-to-back threes like that, that's just a difference maker in what we're scoring, 75 plus points a game now, 80 obviously in this game, but it's complete 180 from last year. So Norland Winter hit 2, 3, 6 points. Connor Segan 8 points. John Blackwell 5 points in 12 minutes, and Carter Gilmore 3 points in 10 minutes. So, putting up this much like on the bench, this is a difference maker from us going to a potential Final Four this year versus maybe being a one and done. So we're just more of a complete team. I think this is one of our more complete games that we played all year as well. Between our offense production and even defensively too, which I know somebody's going to talk about here shortly, but all around complete game. We're looking good going into these next two games, and it's best to be playing, good ball like we are right now.
Yeah. Jake, what 2 things stood out to you from the Badgers win over Michigan State?
So first, I'm going to start with Greg Gard. It was talked about during the game, and it's something that Gard and the coaching staff and players have kind of participated in over the last couple of years, and it's kind of bringing a focus to cancer. Obviously, everybody heard about Greg Gard's mother, who is fighting cancer. A couple of years ago, he wore pink shoes, and then I believe it was last year, some of the players and staff wore pink laces. Mike, you could check me on that. I'm pretty sure they all wore pink laces to a game. And then this last year, they had custom shoes, but I just think that's super cool of them, obviously, to bring focus to that. So I really wanted to put more focus on it that it was already getting. So I think that it needed to be talked about. Now, my next thing I'm going to talk about is Chucky Hepburn. And the reason I'm going to talk about Chucky Hepburn, and you're going to look at the box score, and I feel like this week, with everything that I've had, the conversations I've had with people, I have to teach people about basketball, which to a certain degree gets me excited. And on the other end of the spectrum, it's like you're a grown man and you're talking about basketball. You should probably know some things, right? But apparently I have to teach people. So he went 1 for 6 from the field and 1 for 4 from behind the three-point line. And in my opinion, outside of AJ Storr, he might have had the biggest impact on this game. He was guarding Michigan State's best player. He was making him work his ass off. And I'm going to tell you right now, their best player, his name is Tyson Walker. He's a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 years ago, Tyson Walker shot 47% from the three-point line. The man can score. Chucky Hepburn, this man is averaging 18.9 points per game right now, 2.6 assists, 3.1 steals. He shoots 46% from the field, 37% from the three-point line. Chucky held him to 11, 2, and 5, 4 of 14 from the field. That is 29%. Chucky Hepburn was making that man work, and he was working on defense. He's got a new role on this team now. He doesn't have to be a scorer. He has to facilitate and play defense. And this team, obviously, I just asked for them to crack the top 10, and they're just like, you know what? We're going to be really close to the top 5. So last thing I'll leave you with before I hand it over to Tyler real quick here is the Badgers have scored 80 points in 7 games this year. That is 35% of their season so far. They are 6-1 in those games. Can you name the loss?
Penn State.
Penn State. Attaboy. I knew you'd be on it. You can't be a Badgers expert.
Well, we don't have too many losses, so it's like, okay, yeah.
I knew you'd get it.
Yeah. So, I will say, Jake, one more quick point about Chucky Hepburn. I think Tyson Walker shouldn't have even got 11 points. Remember I was talking about those moving screens during the game? Yeah. I hate blaming games on officials, but man, I thought Chucky got hosed on a couple times where it should have been a moving screen going the other way. I think it was at least twice that I saw. So, but no, regardless, I just want to throw that out there. I think Tyson Walker was lucky that he got 11 points that game.
I wasn't going to take your point because you were the one that said it, so I'm glad that you added it in.
Yeah.
So Barry said, hey, guys. Brad said Chucky took less chances for the steal, keep his guy in front of him. And that's just Chucky. I mean, he's going to gamble once in a while to get those steals, but he's still a strong defender, whether he's doing that or not.
Yep.
So I will say this. The Badgers, when they had their big lead, they kind of got away from attacking the rim a little bit. So I think the Badgers actually could have won this game by 20.
Yeah.
So the defense did stay locked in. But the two things that I really want to talk about are the efficiency and Michigan versus Wisconsin versus Michigan State. So looking at the two games between Michigan State and Wisconsin, in game one, the Badgers shot 45% on field goals, 43% on three-pointers, and 100% at the free throw line. In game two, they shot 50.9%, so 51% on field goals, 36% on threes, and 73.7% at the free throw line. Barry, yes, I am in the press box. I can show you again really quick just exactly what I'm looking at when I look out the window.
That's Mandalay Bay.
It is, dude.
It seriously.
That's the Gulf Coast version.
Man.
That's the Mardi Gras version.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And then assists to turnovers. So game one, the Badgers had 17 assists to 10 turnovers, which pretty decent. And game two, they had 11 assists and only 6 turnovers. So really, yeah, can't complain about the efficiency at all in either one of the games. Barry, the view is awesome, and Biloxi itself is very nice to look at. Second thing, just Wisconsin versus Michigan State in general. So the last time Wisconsin had a home and road sweep versus Michigan State was 2003-2004 season.
Wow.
The second game that they won that season was an overtime victory that they won 68-64. The last time Wisconsin beat Michigan State twice in a season was 2014-2015 season. They beat them once in the regular season and once in the Big Ten tournament. This game did actually help keep Tom Izzo getting his 700th win, so we didn't have to have that hanging over our heads.
Yep.
Michigan actually coming into this game had won 8 out of 10. So Michigan State had won 8 out of 10 coming into this game. So Badgers held serve there. And then, this was so close. And this is where I said I believe the Badgers could have won by 20. The Badgers were 1 point away from tying their largest margin of victory over Michigan State. The final score of that game was 82-56. The Badgers won this game 81-56. They were 1 point away from tying their exact score and exact margin of victory, their highest over Michigan State.
Michigan State scored 66.
66. Yeah, sorry. I wrote 56 on here. 66.
It's okay.
Yeah. No. They won by 15. I don't know. That's why I was thinking that. But yes, 66 is what I have. 16 points is their largest margin of victory over Michigan State. They missed it by 1 point, tying the exact same record.
It's actually impressive when you think about the amount of times that they play each other, and that the largest margin of victory for the Badgers is 15 points. Like that's or 16 points.
I think the Badgers and Michigan State, they have like the most matchups against each other. It's like 145, 143. It's somewhere around there, head-to-head matchups.
Interesting.
All right. So the Badgers, they have 2 games between now and next week that we'll cover next Wednesday. They play tomorrow at Nebraska. That's going to be tough.
It's going to be.
And then they play Sunday against Purdue at home. Also tough. So
also tough.
That said, Mike, give me 2 goals that you have for the Badgers in those 2 games.
First, I'm going to say this. First off, I absolutely hate a lot of the fan base right now. They're looking ahead straight to Purdue. I don't think the common fan needs to realize that Nebraska is a good team. They got some quality wins.
Purdue right after we beat Nebraska?
Yes. They are undefeated at home. That's another thing we need to take into account here. We are on the road in the Big Ten. We know how that can go.
Yep.
So Nebraska this first goal is going to be more catered towards Nebraska. So as I said, they're undefeated at home. Nebraska has shot 552 3-pointers this year. In comparison, Wisconsin has shot 385, right?
Holy shit.
Yeah, I looked it up before. So we got to contest the 3 ball, and they got a few dudes that can actually shoot it. So you can start with Kasai Tominaga, although these last couple games he's been average as of late, but they got some other dudes. Their big man, Rink Mast, is actually playing very, very well. He's the Bradley transfer. He's been playing very well for him lately. He took 7 threes last time he played us, so expect him to bring Steve out to the top, and he's going to be putting that 3 ball up from the top of the key for sure. But my first goal is just contest the threes that they put up and just make it a hard time for them because they're going to be chucking. And, that's going to be one way. If they start knocking them down, that crowd's going to be rambunctious and crazy all night. So you just got to, limit that. So, and
Brad said, don't get caught up at that sexy ranking they have. Are you talking about the Badgers or Purdue?
probably
bad.
us. Probably us.
Well, I don't want to take anything away from the Badgers. Like, I get they made a
Yeah.
jump from 13 to 6, but I mean, we shouldn't be taking anything away from the Badgers. We should be giving respect to the opponents.
Exactly. Which, especially with Nebraska, because again, Nebraska is a tournament team. In my view, they've got quality wins. I don't want people looking forward to Sunday. But anyway, second part, this is for both games. We just simply got to play smart. We've cut the turnovers down now a little bit these last couple games. I think we only had 6. Was it against Michigan State? Yeah, we only had 6. Yep. Limit that, especially when you're going on the road, and then when you're playing the number 2 team in the country, Purdue, on Sunday. You got to limit that stuff. You got to play smart. No stupid fouls. I'm talking to the big men specifically for Sunday. When you got Big Steve has been in foul trouble against, when we play, bigger teams like this. So you just play smart like that. He's going to get beat down low a little bit a few times. We have to expect that. So just don't give up any cheap fouls. If I hate to say it, like, don't give up on a play, but if you're going to get beat, just don't give up a cheap foul. Play smart, control the controllables at the end of the day. When you're playing 2 good teams like this, control what you can control. Don't turn the ball over. And let's go and get this bread.
So, Barry, to answer your question, no, they are not both home games. Tomorrow is at Nebraska, and then Sunday is at home against Purdue. Jake, what are your 2 goals for those 2 games?
So, Mike, you almost hit the nail on the head. I was calling Nebraska a trap game as well. This team has to be focused going into Nebraska tomorrow. But I was going to say, you have to prove why you're number 1 in the Big Ten right now, right? And you brought up a point about winning on the road or winning in the Big Ten in general. You look at Purdue's record, 2 losses, both of them in the Big Ten. I mean, if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what to tell you. So I said that points in the paint will be very important in both of these games. I did not know that stat about Nebraska before I wrote this down, but here we are. So I wrote down all the points in the paint that we have scored and all the points that we have given up in conference play. Wisconsin has scored 276, and they've given up 252. That is a 30-point average for Wisconsin, a 28-point average for the opponents. So points in the paint is definitely going to be something that's really important, especially not trying to skip over Nebraska, but especially on Sunday when you have a 7-4 guy, right? I mean, probably going to throw it down to him a few times. And then my second one, since it worked so beautifully last week, I'm going for it again. Let's trade places in the rankings with Purdue. What do you say?
There we go.
Why not?
We're going to be 2 or 3 for sure if we somehow pull this off.
If they beat Nebraska and Purdue, they might be number 2.
Yeah.
They might.
All right. So my first one is it goes for both games, and that's to play unselfishly to help the efficiency. So pass up good shots for great shots. I talked about the efficiency in the Michigan State games, both of them, the Badgers, very, very efficient. And then my second one relates to Purdue specifically. You guys are both mentioning Zach Edey. And it's going to be the thing where just looking at the surface, people are going to be like, oh, we play Purdue, we have to stop Zach Edey. Don't worry about Zach Edey. He's going to get his. Just let him get his. I'm focusing on their guard trio. They have 3 guards who combine to average 35 points a game. So it's Braden Smith, Lance Jones, and Fletcher Lawyer. Now, what stands out, maybe not necessarily the fact that it's like 13, 11, and 13 points, I believe those 3 average, but they combine for 35. Might not sound, that crazy. Oh, these guys all average under 15 points. Listen to their 3-point percentages. To Mike's point about defending the 3-point line, Braden Smith, 44%. Lance Jones, 34%. And Fletcher Lawyer, 42%.
Oh.
Lots open.
3 are all knockdown shooters, and it goes to people are probably trying to sink down to stop Zach Edey.
Yep.
You're not stopping Zach Edey. He's fucking huge. So do what you can against Zach Edey. Don't divert extra attention to him so much so that you allow Purdue to just kick the ball out, swing it around, and get wide open threes because they will make them. So that's where I'm coming down on my second goal is to let Zach Edey get his, contain the shooters.
I like it.
All righty, Mike, we will be back with you next week. So hopefully the Badgers are talking about a couple W's, and maybe we're talking about a top 5 Badger team next week.
Oh, I hope so, boys. This is what we've been picturing since we had the primer. We're here,
Absolutely.
We're getting there. So hopefully we can get her done. So you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Badgers, baby.
Yeah. Really quick on Badgers football too. I did get to interview Tanner Bortolini today. I had to ask him a couple of questions. So if you're interested in checking that out, do that. And yeah, alrighty, Mike, have a good one.
Later, fellas.
Okay, bro.
Alrighty, so now you and I get to stick on the subject of basketball, and we talk about the Bucks.
So let's hit the pause button real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're at the Biloxi Shucker Stadium right now, right?
Yeah.
Which is an affiliate of the Milwaukee Brewers.
AA.
They're the AA team. The fuck?
Barry, I have not been able to talk to any
Reggie, you need to calm down, okay? Reggie, it's okay. I was just going to touch on that actually before you commented. The Packers hired a new DC, okay? So we got Packers news. You're affiliated with the Brewers right now. We just talked about Badgers basketball. You mentioned Badgers football, and now we're about to talk about the Bucks. And you know what that equals? The Wisco Fanatics, and that's why we're here,
circle.
baby. That's why we're here, Reggie.
That's
we are
all
going to dive deep. We're going to dive deep on Friday. We're gonna come up with a new game plan because we actually had an episode planned, but we're gonna have to plan a new episode. But Friday night, 8:00, Reggie, I expect you to be there because you're a big time Packers fan. I love your commenting during the show. Barry, you're gonna be there as well. I think he's a good choice too from things that I've read. I think he's going to
really like out of left, not necessarily out of left field, but like out of the names that were all listed, him not being one of them. I think that's what people are getting caught up with, where they're like, oh, people are kind of romanticizing, this guy makes sense because of this, and this, and they get attached to those candidates. And because this guy just kind of came out of the blue and stole the job, and people are like, oh my God, why are they picking this guy? He wasn't one of the ones they interviewed. Like, trust me, they've interviewed him.
Two things. One, 100% a Packer move, by the way. 100% I was laughing when I got the news. I was like, bro, this is such a Green Bay Packers thing to do. To like literally under the radar, not tell anybody about this person they interviewed for the job, and then be like, bam, you got the job. We're gonna
Reggie, he's got lots of NFL ties besides the 49ers. Yep. He was also a D-backs coach with the Buccaneers and the Browns. So he's got a lot of NFL experience. So we'll talk about that on Friday. We'll get into his full background, and we're going to talk about some of his tendencies, some expectations, some hopes of things we hope to see differently. So we're going to talk about it on Friday in depth.
And Reggie, I'm just giving you something to look forward to for the rest of the week, man. Get you through your work week, and then you come home on Friday, you're chilling, and you join us for the show, man. That's what I'm here for.
All right. Now let's jump into our power pairs and our performers. Jake, give me yours.
All right. So first and foremost, my first one, the Greek freak, the Nigerian king, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He averaged 29 points per game, 13 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 65% from the field. He shot 100% from 3 for 3 this week. He shot 55% from the free throw line. That's got to improve. And he averaged 1 steal, 1 block, and he was plus 39 in the week. So just a Giannis week. And he played a back-to-back, by the way. So, I mean, he does that. Next one, Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton might be back, people. Chris Middleton seriously might be back. It's not just the offense, which is what everybody focuses on with Chris Middleton. The defense is ramping up. And that right there, to me, 100%, that is what tells me that the leg is feeling better.
Yeah.
Because when we had Drew the last couple of years, we always talked about having 3 two-way players. So the fact that Chris Middleton's starting to play some elite defense, and I'm going to stick by it. We went live during the Nuggets game.
Yeah.
He seriously might average 2.5 assists the rest of the year. Or steals. 2.5 steals.
Yeah.
The man can jump passing lanes. And when he does that, you obviously know that he's a good decision maker. He could pull up for 3 in transition. He could pass the ball. I mean, there's just a lot of options, especially with all the space.
We'll talk about him because I want to talk about him specifically when we get to that Nuggets game. So
okay. 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. I mean, the man was balling. He's our third option, dude. That's disgusting. 46% from the field. I guarantee he had a couple rollout, very close to 50%. 31% from three, 90% from the free throw line, and he had 4 steals. Bobby Portis. I made Bobby Portis my UP on purpose because I'm a petty person, and again, I feel like I have to teach people what basketball is. Yeah, I went there. And don't worry, I'll have some for those people that didn't watch the Denver Nuggets game, and I could tell. So Bobby averaged 12.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 1 assist. He shot 40% from the field, 46% from the three-point line, and 80% from the free throw line. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you. His field goal percentage dropped a lot after that Nuggets game because otherwise, before that, he was over 50% for the week. So, that's a great question.
It's Mardi Gras is soon. I don't know exactly when it's Mardi Gras, but no, I got them because the Biloxi Shuckers made their special announcement today that for 4 games this year, they're going to wear Biloxi King Cakes uniforms, and they're going to have beads on the sleeves, like where it's normally stripes. The stripes are going to be beads.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So I got to kind of help break the news. I actually snuck a couple of questions in on their press conference of it, so you can check the live video out on that. But yeah, they're doing the Biloxi King Cakes, and King Cakes are basically just like giant circular cinnamon rolls. I got to have one. They had a bunch of them down here, so that was cool.
First of all, great
I went with I went with Damian Lillard. Just he still had a good numbers. He still had good numbers. I didn't buy a Jacob shirt. I got one for my wife. Don't tell anybody. See if she notices. I got Damian Lillard, 23.5 points per game, 5.3 assists, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 steals. Didn't shoot the best this week, but he's still Dame. Still filled the numbers up, and he shot really well on the free throws. Mm-hmm. And then I have Brook Lopez. He shot very, very, very well this week. So Brook Lopez averaged 15.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 48.9% on field goals, 47.8% on threes, and 100% on free throws. Brad said Portis worries me. He's a little inconsistent, and we'll see if Adrian Griffin had anything to do with that in his offense. Taylor, if she texts me, I will tell you. If she goes, oh, so you got me a Biloxi King Cake shirt. We'll see. Barry said Portland's going to make Dame is going to make Portland cry tonight. Maybe. I mean, we'll see.
I mean, the tribute video will probably make them cry anyways.
That's where I was going to go with that. For my underrated performer, I went with Pat Connaughton. I am also petty. So Pat Connaughton only averaged 6 points a game this week. However, he also averaged 1.8 assists, 1.3 rebounds. Pat Connaughton lights out this week. 53.8% on field goals, 54.5% on threes, and 100% on the free throw line. And as we'll talk about in these games, we got to see Pat in several different roles this week. A lot of different roles for Pat Connaughton this week. So let's start with the first Cleveland game. We can just kind of honestly, if you want to, we can kind of just lump the Cleveland games together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can, because I have something after the second one, so we can just lump them both together if you really want to. Okay. I'm fine with it. So going from the first one, which happened last Wednesday, the Bucks ended up winning that one 126-116. Really, this was just a good basketball game, honestly. Both teams were shooting the ball well. Both teams were kind of hot and cold from the three-point line at points in this game. The rebounding was very even. When you go down the list of stats, they're all very even except the free throw line, which everybody likes to complain about the free throw shooting. But honestly, like, the Stars shoot the most free throws, okay? And they have the ball the most. They're the best with the ball the most. And they're going to get fouled the most because they're just good, right? That's just how it works. People want to complain about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They want to complain about Joel Embiid. Now, Joel Embiid is a special one because he's a 7-foot, 300-pound James Harden, and it's annoying. And he was doing that before he met James Harden. Then he got with James Harden. That was scary. But, like, the Stars shoot the most free throws. It just is what it is. And we have two of the best. So the free throws really are what won this game. Giannis 35, 18, and 10. I mean, that's just That's just
You want a
disgusting.
stat about Giannis?
Yeah, tell me that.
Giannis is the first Buck ever to have 35, 18, and 10 on less than 3 free throws.
Oh, that's disgusting. That's very gross.
Ridiculous.
Chris Middleton had a very good game, 24, 5 and 5. Damian Lillard with 28. Mikal Beasley.
You did it again.
I did it again.
Start writing out his full name in your notes.
I just write MB, and I need to write.
Yeah, you need to start writing Malik B.
Damn it. Malik Beasley had 9 points, and you're gonna notice a trend with Malik this week. He didn't take a lot of shots, didn't score a lot, but he was giving effort on defense. I'm gonna give him credit for that. I feel like the Bucks were really trying to amp up the defense this last week. I mean, they gave up 116 and 112 versus the Cavs. They go 1-2 in those games. The offense is going to have to figure it out, obviously under Prunty for most of these games. But when's the next watch party? We're actually going to plan that one. We're going to plan a Badgers one first.
Yeah, we're going to try to do a Badgers one.
But we could
try to do them more often if we can. I mean, we'll figure some stuff out.
We're going to have
next year we're not going to have Packer shows on Friday nights. So maybe Friday nights we can do some watch parties next year for the Bucks and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
I'm always game for a watch party, bro. That's fun, bro. If people are gonna come and join us and comment, we can just be dudes snacking on snacks and drinking sodas, bro, watching the game. I'm cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then I'm just gonna skip to the second one. I'll let you do all your stuff. After the second one was also even when you really go down the line of the stats. But the thing that I wanted to point out is I went through the points off turnovers, the fast break, and the points in the paint for Cleveland versus Milwaukee this year, because I think it's been a little bit worrisome. Mm-hmm. And this version of the Bucks that we have right now, which is not the final version that we're going to get, obviously, but this version of the Bucks that we're getting right now versus Cleveland team makes them a tough matchup if we ended up facing them in the playoffs, in my opinion. So the points off turnovers, they have 43 so far this year. That's an average of 14 points off turnovers just right there alone. And then fast break, they have 67. That's an average of 22. Basically, it's decimals. I'm just taking away decimals. And then the points in the paint versus Milwaukee, they have 174 points in the paint in 3 games. That is an average of 58. That's a lot of points that we're giving up for turnovers and bad shot attempts and bad transition defense. And it's just that's where Mikey was talking about control the controllables. Those are in the controllables area. So those are things that the Bucks should be focusing on. And I know Doc is going to get to work. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure people have said it a million times. The defense is sick. The Bucks are sick. The doctor's in the house. Like, let's fix it.
All right, so I gave you the stat about Giannis from game 1. Looking at the first game, so last Wednesday coming into that game, Cleveland was on a really hot streak.
Yeah, they were.
So when they beat us the previous Wednesday, I kind of took a little bit of the sting away, but because it's not the Bucks lost to the Cavs. It's the Cavs are actually playing really well.
Yeah.
So in their last 5 games, shout out to Steven Watson for this stat. The last 5 games that Cleveland had played coming into this one, they had trailed for 35 seconds.
Yeah, that's wild.
Total.
That's nuts.
That's insane. That's basically 5 straight wire-to-wire victories, except for 1 point where your opponent took a lead for a possession or 2. For 5 games, that's wild.
Yeah. It's impressive.
It is impressive. The Bucks did end the Cavs' 8-game win streak in here. It was actually the Cavaliers too. To this point, they've had the best defense in the NBA since January 1st, and the Bucks were able to put some points up on them. Mm-hmm. The Bucks defense, I did think, looked a little bit better in this game, keeping guys in front of them, simplifying things a little bit. Jake Crowder was making an impact. The big 3, 87 points, 24 rebounds, 19 assists, only 4 turnovers, 4 steals, and 2 blocks.
That's a lot of numbers.
That's all of the numbers almost.
Pretty much all the numbers, yeah.
And then this was Giannis's 5th triple-double of 2024. He's had a double-double in every game except for the Golden State game. He finished 1 rebound short. Now, Giannis has finished 1 assist short of a triple-double once, 2 assists short of a triple-double once, and 3 assists short of a triple-double once. So Giannis is essentially combined 6 assists short of having 8 triple-doubles since 2024 started. Now, going into the second game, really my big things with this is kind of ties in with both of them is, first of all, this is Joe Prunty's last game as the interim head coach. Don't put a lot of stock into, honestly, any of the interim games, even though it's fun to put more stock into the ones that they played well. But what I really am looking for from Doc Rivers coming in based on these last 2 Cavaliers games is the Bucks have to find a better way to defend the dribble drive. And that kind of ties into what we talked about a little bit with during the watch party on Monday was the way that Brook Lopez is being used.
Yep.
So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on going forward. Damian Lillard shot kind of rough on Friday. Chris Middleton wasn't a lot better, but Chris did have 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. And then Giannis finished that 1 assist short of a triple-double, and then he just needs to cut his turnovers down. Those are my biggest takeaways, honestly, from that game. So,
yep.
Bucks and Pelicans. This game was fun.
This was fun. Pelicans have a very interesting roster, and if Brandon Ingram didn't cost all of the millions of dollars, I would love him on the Bucks. He would. Oh my God! You slide Chris over to the 2, and you put Brandon Ingram at the 3. You get length shooting. Oh, that guy will perform in the playoffs. He seems like a playoff player, in my opinion, his game. He can get to the mid-range. He can shoot the 3. He can get on fire. He can be a microwave. I'm a big fan of Brandon Ingram. Not a big fan of that beard, though. I'll say that. Just we're not doing that, guy. But, Giannis, 30, 12, and 4. Dame at 26. Brook Lopez with 24. Chris Middleton had to miss this one. It was a back-to-back, so – We're still trying to be careful with the leg, even though that it is coming back, and we're gonna get into him more.
You brought up Chris Middleton, so I'm saying this right now because the Bucks scored a shit ton of points this game. The Bucks are not better without Chris Middleton. Stop saying dumb shit.
Yeah, why does that have to be said? Why does it have to be a reminder? I don't understand.
Because people that don't like Chris like to use games that the Bucks win without him as evidence that they can win without him. Not in the long term.
I think the Bucks could win without Damian Lillard. Doesn't mean that we don't need Damian Lillard
or don't want him.
I think the Bucks are fully capable against certain opponents on winning without Giannis. Mm-hmm. But is anybody going to go on the internet and say that we look good without Giannis? No. Stop saying that. So
Barry said it's going to be interesting to see how Doc does with his play calling after Monday's game.
Yeah, I'm going to give Doc. I'm gonna give him a good amount of time to get in there, and I mean he's already setting the standard at this moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could win without any player. That's just the talent of this team, which is why people get frustrated, and I understand it. And like I'm gonna go on a rampage in a second here, but I promise you it's coming. But Jay Crowder started in his place. Jay Crowder had 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. His job is not to score. His job is to play defense and pretty much just do everything else but score. And he does that. Beasley added 8 points. He shot 3 of 10 and 1 for 7 from 3. I think, and then you can add in the Denver game to this. He's on a little bit of a slump, but it doesn't matter because his plus minus is still just fine because there's other ways to impact basketball games besides scoring, which is shocking to a lot of people, especially on the internet, which is wild. It's like where you find all the idiots is like, where do you find all the idiots? You just go on any social media app and they are just right there at your disposal. I want to add in that the bench played amazing in this game. The bench was awesome. Yeah, 48 points. 16 rebounds, 14 assists. I mean, 23 of 35. I mean, that's cooking.
Oh yeah.
So, that's pretty much all. That's the major takeaways I have. The Bucks with 30 assists as a team is fantastic. I love seeing that. Making 23-pointers helps with those assist numbers as well. So, go Bucks.
So, looking at this game started off a little shaky. Bucks had a little bit of miscommunication early that let New Orleans get a few layups, and New Orleans started off up 11-5. So the Bucks kind of come out of the timeout, They go on a quick 5-0 run. The defense starts playing better. They turn it into a 17-6 run in between timeouts. So Bucks made a great run there. Second quarter, Bobby Portis scored the first 7 points of the second quarter. He hit the fadeaway that he was like kind of doing his heat check on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good to see. Campaign played a little bit of defense. Andre Jackson Jr. made a 3. Damian Lillard hit a sidestep 3. Campaign hit a 3. Pelicans were able to get the lead down to 6, but Bucks pushed it right back up to 12 before halftime. Jay Crowder was actually playing pretty good defense on Zion Williamson, in my opinion, as well.
Mm-hmm.
He deserves credit for that. Giannis, just dominating, just flat out dominating. He owns the Pelicans. Like, I know I've put together graphics about him owning the Pelicans in the past, and then he just continues to own the Pelicans. Now, the thing that worked out really well for the Bucks was their ball movement. So every time Giannis touched the ball, New Orleans was immediately going to double him. So then Giannis would kick the ball back out. It would swing, and then it would swing back. And guys were getting open threes, and they were hitting them, and it was great. And we saw a bunch of this on Monday as well. The unselfish ball movement. I'm going to put something together about this. Then getting into the third quarter, the Bucks had their lead opened up to 25 points halfway through the third quarter, a 20-7 run, and the Bucks had hit 100 points with still 3 minutes and 33 seconds to go in the third quarter.
Damn.
So definitely rebounding from their quiet offensive night on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is one of the reasons that I said we saw Pat Connaughton in different roles. Pat Connaughton got 2 offensive rebounds in the beginning of the fourth quarter, one of which he kicked out to Brook Lopez for his 6th three-pointer of the game. So Pat Connaughton, he doesn't get enough credit for his rebounding. He really doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
He's a good rebounder, and his athleticism helps with that. Pelicans kind of waved the white flag about halfway through the fourth quarter, and Marjan was able to come in and get a couple of buckets. And just a really good fundamental night for the Bucks. Only allowed 12 second chance points, only 9 points off turnovers, and they missed 6 free throws for 27 fundamental failure points. So really no complaints about this game, and even still, the Bucks can still get better. So then they played the defending champs on Monday night. If you're interested, Jake and I did a watch party for this game. We talked about Doc Rivers a little bit, his press conference takeaways from the press conference that they had on Saturday. Mm-hmm. We did that before doing a watch party. If you want like a full thoughts on a game, you can watch that watch party because we watched it live. You can get our thoughts on it live. Looking at the breakdown, Jake, what stood out to you after kind of going through and writing some stuff down?
I'm going to get into it in a sec here. First of all, Nuggets are a good team. We know that they have
literal defending champs.
Players. Yeah. They're really good at their house, obviously. And it was the first game under Doc. So if anybody was walking away from this game upset, you need to check yourself, okay? Because the Bucks are hitting a literal reset button in the middle of the season. So let's relax for a second, okay? I'm just going to get into it. I want you to tell me, can you tell me who led the team in plus minus on Monday?
I don't want to guess Chris based on his defense, to be honest with you.
Nope. It was a guy that was 2 for 9 from the field and 1 for 7 from the three-point line.
Bobby Portis.
No. Beasley.
Wow. Okay.
Beasley led the team in plus minus. But did I hear anybody on the internet complaining about Beasley 1 for 7 from the three-point line?
Probably.
I didn't see any. You know what everybody was talking about? And it's people that have a huge following, like Nathan Marazan or whatever. I don't care. I don't care how you say his name. I don't, because he's starting to piss me off a little bit, to be honest with you. He comes away after this game and he says, it's clear who needs to be gone. This, yes, this 1 game removed. I didn't mention Bobby against the Pelicans on purpose. 1 game removed from Bobby Portis going 9 of 15 from the field for 20 points and 7 rebounds. He has an off night going 2 for 13 from the field and 2 for 6 from the three-point line, 2 of which he made back-to-back, by the way.
Sure did. One of the biggest stretches of the game.
It was. And you add in that he had 12 rebounds and both of his assists went for three-pointers. He accounted for 15 points because he scored 9 of those.
Yep.
He had 12 rebounds and made some big impact plays in this game. But let me tell you this. We're just going to look at the box score. And we're going to see that he went 2 of 13, and we're going to go online and we're going to bitch about it. That is garbage. You did not contextually think any of that through. I just broke it down for you right there. And you want to know something? That took me about 5 minutes because my brain works. I am so sick and tired of these little boys having a platform and then talking the dumbest, most nonsense, dude. It's just nonsense. I'm just sick and tired of it. And he has such a huge following. And we've talked about this before, dude.
Yep.
But the people that have the big followings, and there's pages that have it and people that have it, the people that have the big following, they don't understand it, but they have a responsibility.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that don't know how to think for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a real life problem. This is not even sports.
Or time to do research. Throw that
or
out there.
time to do research, right? So they rely on people like you, and they rely on people like me and you, Tyler. So that's why we put in the work, and we care because we want to put the truth out there.
Yep.
And we want people to understand the sport better after we talk about it.
Yep.
So when you have this huge following on how many ever followers he has on whatever, he has so many followers, dude. He has like over 50,000, I'm pretty sure, or 30,000 at least. Of those 30,000, you could say probably 90% of those people don't actually look up stats and understand basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could comfortably say that. So they're relying on you to put that information out there. So when you tweet something like that and you keep going at this player, then you start poisoning the brains of all these other people.
Yep.
And that is the shit that pisses me off because then there was other accounts that were doing it. Bucks accounts. Their first thing in their is Bucks. And all they're doing is trashing our players. And we've had this conversation about Packers players. Do you not think that these guys see that?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Bobby Portis is one of the coolest guys around. And he does things that don't show up on a stat sheet that matters to winning.
Yeah.
So we need to stop with this shit.
And listen, we can recognize too that he's been inconsistent. But to your point, just box score watch and then go at him without adding any context in or giving a disclaimer like, hey, yes, Bobby Portis didn't shoot well, but he did this and this and this, which is what you were doing, versus just going, Bobby Portis didn't shoot well, he should be traded for that.
Yeah, we're going to trade him because he had a bad day from the field. He did other things that mattered.
Right.
It's so stupid, dude.
Barry said, you guys are the only Wisconsin sports show I like. Other Wisconsin sports pages, they're always wrong on their stats with all sports. I mean, we try to be as accurate as we humanly possibly can be. And as contextually appropriate.
I have to give credit to Tyler for this. There was a lot of stuff that I wanted to post in the past. And Tyler always checked me like, dude, we got to make sure. Like, we got to make sure. We got to be 100%. Like, we don't want to be putting stuff out there and it's not true. And so I give a lot of credit to Tyler for setting that standard for us. So, Barry, I appreciate your comment. That makes me feel really good. So we're going to continue doing our thing and we're going to go all the way to the top, man. That's all I know.
All right. So, again, if you want to, Barry said in the outrageous left field stories, that's the clickbait. That's probably one of our least favorite things about people that have big followings is when they create news, quote unquote news, out of things that are not any sort of relevant.
Agreed.
Or very on the fringe of relevance. So looking at this game, again, we did the watch party on Monday. If you want like a super live reaction to it, you can watch that if you're hardcore. But really the main things that stood out to me were first, when you get to the fourth quarter, the really, really soft offensive foul that was called on Brook Lopez for a moving screen. That really took all the momentum away from the Bucks. Like any chance that they had to grab any momentum. They were Denver had taken a 2-point lead on a layup before that, and then the Bucks got called for an offensive foul, and Denver went up 4 and then 6 and then never trailed again.
Yep.
Next is turnovers. So this is on me because I said something about it, so I jinxed it. I brought up that I was really happy that the Bucks had only 2 turnovers in the first half, and then they had 10 in the second half. So again, this might be a situation where you're box score watching and saying like, oh, the Bucks only had 12 turnovers. I know I've previously said if they're under 13 that I'm happy, but to go 2 in the first half and then 10 in the second half, that's 2 very different things happening here. So 2 in the first half, fantastic, wonderful, called it out, said I loved it. 10 in the second half, bad, very bad.
Great.
Overall, still not a bad fundamental game. They allowed those 15 points off turnovers. They allowed 11 second chance points, which considering the big men that the Nuggets have, not bad. And then 6 missed free throws. That's 32 fundamental failure points. That's not bad at all. I really, really think that the Bucks played really well on both sides of the ball for pretty big stretches. I think even with this being Doc Rivers' first game, the defense is already better, and Chris Middleton was the embodiment of this. Chris Middleton, dude, he had some stretches. He guarded Jokic. He guarded Aaron Gordon. He guarded Michael Porter Jr. He had a couple possessions where he guarded Jamal Murray. And he did well against all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So the turnovers for Chris Middleton were a little bit of an outlier. He had 4 turnovers. That's really not indicative of how he's been this season. His turnovers are definitely down since early in the year. So 1 game of 4 turnovers, I'm not going to be like, oh, Chris Middleton needs to go because he turns the ball over too much. You can't just ignore the last month and a half where he's had like 2 or 3 a game while also giving you a bunch of games of 8, 9, 10 assists.
Right.
Now, looking defensively, Chris Middleton allowed only 7 points on 2 for 6 field goal shooting against everybody that he guarded.
Okay, I'm with that.
And he scored 14 pretty efficient points, added 8 rebounds and 3 assists.
He was, and you called this out as well. He pretty much was the offensive engine in the first quarter. He was cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking like 2021 Chris, like I was saying before the injury, man. He was looking good, man. You could tell he's getting into better shape too, man. He's getting into game shape. So
you want to know what my notes actually say during the first quarter? My notes actually say Chris is fucking on one right now.
He was, dude. He really was. He was going crazy, but the potential, and I'm going to touch on one of your points where you talked about how the offense and the defense had really, really good stretches. That's the potential of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reason that, and you brought this up on Monday, that when Doc Rivers got calls from other teams, he wasn't picking up the phone. So the reason he picked up the phone is for 2 people mainly, Giannis and Dame, right? Those are 2 top 75 players of all time.
Yep.
Then you add in the supporting cast of Chris and Brooke and Bobby and Jay and the championship DNA that this team has. So, I mean, the potential of this roster is still insane. So don't get it twisted, right? You know, and you forget about people like Pat Connaughton and Cam Payne, guys that have been on, and Beasley, who have been on winning rosters, been in the playoffs, played minutes in the playoffs. I mean, you're talking about a team that could legitimately go all the way, and people are just kind of sleeping on it, and that's fine, man. I prefer that, honestly. Giannis prefers it too. So sleep on us all you want, but I'll tell you what, that monster's going to wake up eventually, and you better be ready for it.
In the playoffs. He doesn't shrink in the playoffs. Barry said, I think Doc wanted to come home, and that's the thing, too, with Doc Rivers is Giannis and Dame are the 2 best players he's ever had.
100%.
I wrote a pretty in-depth article, damn near 3,000 words, on Doc Rivers and his playoff choking, and gave the context that was due there.
I like it.
All right, so the Bucks have 4 games in the next week, starting with tonight in Portland. They play tonight in Portland, Saturday at Dallas, Sunday at Utah, Tuesday at Phoenix. This wraps up their 4-game West Coast road trip. So, Jake, what are you looking at for a record? I'm going to say 3-1. I'm going to say they lose to Dallas on Saturday.
They should definitely beat Portland tonight.
Yep.
Dallas, Phoenix. I'm gonna say 3-1 as well. I almost wanted to lean 2-2 because the Suns are kind of getting some things together here, but I'll say 3-1 as well.
I like it. Alrighty. So next week I will be back in my my normal habitat. But one last time before I go today, I got to give the view that I'm looking out at.
Oh,
So again, I got to give a shout out to Javid Blake, who's over in the press box next to me, for hooking me up with the view and letting me be part of the news that the Shuckers are going to be the King Cakes for 4 games this year. And I'll definitely put some more stuff together on that. And other than that, Jake, have a good night. I will see you Friday night when we talk about Packers defensive coordinator.
all right, man. Talk to you later, buddy.
All righty.